What's up, guys? We are back with another episode, week 4 preview show, high school football, Southern Arizona. Of course, with the co-host Javier Morales from All Tucson Sports. Give him that applause, Javi. How you doing, brother?
Thanks. I'm doing okay.
Hey, you're 2 for 2 for MVPs, man.
Yeah, I'm trying. I tried to do some homework to find out who would be the MVP this week.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll talk about that later.
See if you can go for the three-peat, man.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, with anything, guys, I always talk about there's always a bigger picture on anything we do. It's bigger than sports, bigger than work or anything. And last Friday, Oscar Romero had the chance to go back home. Again, many of you guys know, that is my uncle. Prayers go out to my family, his kids, my Aunt Joanne. You know, he was someone who, well, we talked about, he had a fire in his heart, but he was always there to give you a hug and let you know things are going to be better, but also push you in so many different directions, make you a better ball player, but also make you a better person. And I want to ask you this, Mr. Morales. You got a story that you'd like to share about him?
Well, I can always take with me that the last time I talked to him was actually on the baseball field. It was at the Kino Sports Complex, at the American Legion um, grand opening event for this summer, and he was honored along with a few other people. And I was able to talk to him and interview him on the field, and then take some pictures of him. So my lasting impression is seeing him there with the sun shining on him and the green grass and all these baseball players around him, talking about the game he loved and about the people that he still talked to even like 30, 40 years after he coached them. How close of a bond those former players worked with him, and how they supported him through his cancer fight and all that. So um, yeah, and I remember him being strong and being he looked fine at that time. He did say that he started taking some treatments again, and that he was hopeful to get a liver transplant. So I could tell in his voice that he had some trepidation, but he's Oscar, obviously he was your uncle, right? So
Yeah.
you know how much he was a fighter and that he was confident, and he just had that aura about him that um, really sticks out to me. Even back in the day when I covered high school sports for the Arizona Daily Star, and I remember being around that team with William Morales and Talvo Alvarez, and
Yeah, I was gonna ask
how
you that.
good that team was.
Do you have a favorite game that you covered? You were just like, all right, that game shows how great of a coach Oscar Romero is.
Um, there's not just one game. It was just being around him and his players and how he related to them. Even at Pima College, when I would go to some of the Pima College games and he was there in the dugout, he had that presence about him. He wasn't the head coach, but he, he wasn't the head coach at Tucson High back in the day. It was Tom Lundy, but he had the players gravitate to him and consider him like a father figure type. Like you said, he could be very stern, but he can also be soft when needed. And I think that's what stuck out most about him is that he was so well respected. I don't think I ever heard one person say anything remotely negative about Coach O, as he was called, and that doesn't happen very often with
No.
somebody in his position, coaching so many people, coaching against so many people. That it was more respect with him than anything else.
Yeah. Even the umpires. 'Cause I remember
Yeah.
when we went on that 2016 run, man, it was like a fire was lit in him again.
Hmm.
Especially going back to back for state championship runs. I remember the umpires being, you would yell at them a little bit, but somehow they still looked happy about it. Like
Oh,
they were just a pleasure to see a legacy taking place.
yeah, and of course they're going to disagree during a game, but with him, it was probably they knew that they could talk to him before the game, they could talk to him after the game. There was always an understanding. Nothing was too extreme with Coach Rometto. He was right in the middle, and I think that is why people respect him so much. Is that he kept that even keel. He was never extreme in anything, except for wanting the most out of his guys.
Yeah.
You know, and it showed on that amount of success he had at Tucson High, 488 wins, and then with the American Legion, 16 titles, and he went to the World Series one year. I mean, that's people don't understand how difficult coaching the American Legion is because you have guys from different teams. You have to get them together.
And college
Um,
guys as well too.
yeah, and you're playing against some really good talent too. So
Yeah.
throughout the state, and he won 16 state titles if I can remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's one of those guys who knew what to do, and he did it his way, and that was the right way, and people followed in his lead. You
Yeah.
know?
And then one thing I want to credit him too, you look at the 488 wins, you look at the state championships, you look at all the amazing things he did, the coach of the years. But the thing I think you look back at and you say you're most happiest about is all the great men he created.
Oh yeah,
Edgar Soto is a great example. Eddie Small, Eddie Carrasco from that state championship team. Now they're mentors for people like my age. Like I could call an Eddie Carrasco and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on." He's like, "Well, this is what Coach O did for us."
yeah.
And he was able to create so many people that once their baseball career was over with, they became great human beings. And everyone talks about it, and we've said it a million times. It's not about the wins on the field; it's also about the wins off the field.
That's what he talked about. And he was a teacher as well, a science teacher, right?
Yep.
So he touched a lot of people that way. And he said, when I last talked to him in June, he said he really got a kick out of some of the people on Facebook, his former students, not former players, but former students, saying, "Hey, I remember you in that class. I remember you being my teacher, and I appreciate the way you taught us and all that." So he had people from different backgrounds, different careers and such that really respected him, and a lot of his former players went on to distinguished careers like
Yeah.
firefighters, police officers, uh, government officials. He just his lead helped a lot of people become who they were or are. So I think he really has impacted a lot of people, and I think the services that are going to be next week are you're going to see a lot of people there because he influenced a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people at the service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
next Saturday, right?
Yeah, next Saturday, guys. God bless Oscar, man. He was a living legend, and it's up to us, his players, his people that he mentored to keep the legacy going. And like I said, we're waiting for one final yes, okay, and then we got something really cool planned for hopefully next week to honor the legacy of Oscar Romero. And one thing about Oscar Romero, he loved his Tucson High Badgers, but they had a rough night again against South Point. Mr. Morales, tell us a little bit about that game.
Uh, I thought it was an entertaining game for the most part. South Point just had too much as far as a running game going, over 200 yards rushing, and it made up for some of their struggling in the passing game against Tucson High. I think Tucson High has a good defense, so some of Matthew Avilar's struggles were because of that, especially on the line, the pressure that he had, and I think Tucson High is just they're right there. They barely lost to Mountain View in overtime. Who Mountain View's a good team.
Yeah, they just got done beating Travis Brown for 38-0.
They have a big game Friday against Desert Mountain up there. So, but yeah, Tucson High is right there. They were always like only a touchdown away from South Point for most of the game. It's just the last quarter that South Point is able to get some separation. Yeah. So, if I'm Zach Neville, I'm disappointed that I'm 0-2, but I know that they can get things going like they did last year.
Yeah,
they started out slow last year and they finished strong.
Well, their quarterback had an amazing game, 25-41,
yeah,
300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
you don't see those stats many times in high school.
No, yeah, and those were legitimate. He's a talent. I think I really like Derek Mason. He's been starting since he's a freshman, so that experience factor really helped him out. And the running game, they need to get a running game though to help him even more because there's 41 times passing the ball 41 times. That's a lot for a high school game.
Yeah.
He did have 2 interceptions, but they were kind of they weren't really. One was kind of stopped a drive. It was 4th down, but I think for the most part he didn't make too many mistakes. He was just thrown into a situation where he had to make a lot of plays.
Yeah.
They really need to get their running game going. I like some of their pieces. I like obviously Noah. They're not running him as much because they have another running back there, but Ezra Spivey, I like him. They have some pieces in place. They just got to use them more, um, and to get more balance with their running game.
Yeah, kind of even everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, the one thing Savion said about that game is the score was 30-17, but the whole time it seemed a lot closer than what it was.
There was only like a touchdown that separated them. Um, it was very close. The score isn't indicative of how close the game was because South Point got a late touchdown and they got an interception to prevent score. So I know that South Point knows that they're not 13 points better than Tucson High, and Tucson High knows that they're not 13 points less than South Point. I think they were like neck and neck most of the game. So
Yeah.
Tucson High has stuff to build on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're gonna go in against Walden Grove at home. Tell us a little bit about that matchup.
Well, it's gonna be Tucson High's first road trip because they've lost their first two games at home. Walden Grove went on the road last week and lost to Eastmark.
Barely. It was a
Thursday.
last second mistake if I'm correct.
Yeah, so they lost 16-13, and the week before they beat Saudita pretty handily. But if you remember, that game was in 2 days because the first day it was suspended because of the lightning, and they were only up like 8-0 late in the second quarter. They really turned it on the next day in the second half. So, I don't think Corey Noble knows yet exactly what he has. I think they're still feeling their way through, like a lot of teams are, with only 2-3 games in the season. But with that game at home, I think that helps a lot. I think Walden Grove draws very well. Um, they have Stephen Valdez, who's on the line, who will put some pressure on Derek Mesa. Um, so Derek Mesa is going to have to produce with some pressure, like he had to do against South Point. So it'll be another close game for Tucson High
Yeah.
and for Walden Grove. It'll be another battle.
Yeah,
for
both
the
teams
football.
kind of trying to figure out who they really are for the season.
Right.
But Tucson has a little bit more momentum going in from playing two top tier opponents.
Right. And Eastmark's not as a good program that Walden Grove beat. Saudita was coming off an 8-2 year, so they're not bad, and they were right in it till the halftime, and then the weather delay I think really affected them.
Yeah,
So they've had two good tests. Walden Grove has so, but this is going to be probably their biggest one I think, because Tucson High's a 5A, Walden Grove's 4A, and you know that Tucson High is going to go on a winning streak here soon.
Yeah.
So this could be the start of it.
if you're both those teams' head coaches, what are you telling them right now?
If I'm Corey Noble, I talk about getting last week's game behind us and taking care of the little things because it seems like that's what resulted in the losing at Eastmark. And if I'm Nevileff, it's continue working towards where we want to be at the end of the year because they've been through it before. They've made huge turnarounds before, and they've been in both games. And their losses, if they've been there in the fourth quarter, so just keep plugging away. What I would do is stress the offensive line to really step up and get some yards for the running backs and open some avenues there. So not as much pressure as on Mesa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then South Point will now play Saguaro at South Point, correct?
South Point will play Scottsdale Saguaro at South Point. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that
That's
game.
like a rivalry.
Yeah, but Saguaro is not the same Saguaro that they were compared to 5 years ago.
No. When they were beating South Point in the playoffs every year, no. They're not
Hit
like
that trombone, man. They had to mention that.
They even beat them a couple years ago at South Point when you thought South Point could beat Saguaro. They even came down here with Mason Bray, the quarterback now at Arizona.
Yeah.
He came down here and had a big game for Scottsdale Saguaro. But Saguaro's better than last year. Last year they struggled. I think they only won 3 games last year, which is unheard of for Scottsdale Saguaro. But
they went on that crazy winning streak.
Yeah, they're better now. And Pat Ryden, after the game against Tucson High, he made a point of telling his players that, hey, this is a different Saguaro team. It's not the one you saw last year or even the year before. Because if you remember, they started a couple years ago like 0-5 or something like that, and then they won in a win streak, including beating South Point, going all the way to the state championship. So I think this year, and then Darius Kelly came in, the new coach last year, the former Buena player, defensive back, and then he coached the Catalina Foothills. He had a tough year last year at Saguaro in his first year because a lot of the players transferred out because they
Yeah.
didn't know much about him. But now that he's got his second year and he's got a good staff, I don't know if you remember Mazzoni, Noah
Hmm.
Mazzoni. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at the U of A under Sumlin. Now he's the same thing under Kelly at Scottsdale Saguaro and Mazzoni, Noel Mazzoni. He's had so much history of being offense coordinator at different places, ASU too, and some other colleges. So he's
Yeah. So it's a amazing presence that's there right now with a
oh
legendary
yeah
coach like that.
yeah he's probably just doing this for fun because he's able to retire off of all the
Yeah.
what he earned in the college ranks. But
Yeah. And
no,
they've had close games. They lost to Desert Mountain 24-21,
yeah
and then they just beat Chaparral 23-10.
yeah,
So,
Chaparral's kind of like a middle of the road team, but Desert Mountains they went 8-3 last year. They went to the playoffs, so uh, that was a good win for them, especially coming off last year to win like that in the first game. I think that's huge. I think that's why Pat Ryden told them that they're a better team than they were last year.
yeah.
So they'll expect Scottsdale Saguaro's best. Like Saguaro always plays Cell Point tough, no matter what the situation is.
It's like your ASU versus U of A game.
Yeah, yeah, and um, I think Cell Point, they barely beat Marana, which is a good team. Took them to the last play. They didn't dominate Tucson High. Went deep in the fourth quarter. So I think they want to get that game where they can click on all cylinders, have that dominant type of win. They're itching for that, and I don't know if that's going to happen this week. But being that it's at home, and they are playing a team that they're familiar with, that could happen this week. I mean, Chris Cheney, he was unbelievable. The running back ran for. They have him for 217. I thought he ran for more than 230 yards, 240. Uh, he was just amazing last year. He wears number 5 like Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Not as big as Bijan, but he's a physical runner. And the only thing is he busted like 4 running plays, 4 big.
Oh yeah,
juicy
we saw
yardage.
that. If you guys didn't see, that was our game of the week last week. Subbion did an amazing job of catching all those plays up close.
And he's going to be working with Carla Garrett, the strength and conditioning coach there at South Point. So he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
He needs to turn those breakthroughs to the line into breakaway touchdown runs and not get caught, not get brought down. So I think that's something he wants to work on. But he can. It's obviously he can make that big play at the line and get free and get some big yards.
Yeah. So with South Point being 2-0, beating 2 teams like Tucson and Marana, in your opinion, are they the best team in the state right now, or best team in Southern Arizona? Because I know Micah Mountain's still up there as well.
Micah Mountain's 2-0, 2 impressive wins. South Point, I would say there's a lot of 2-0 teams, but it's hard to say that South Point and Micah Mountain aren't like 2 of the best teams. I think they're 1 and 2 right now in Southern Arizona because of their winning tradition. I know Micah Mountain's only in his 5th varsity year, but they've shown that they can win.
Yeah.
And South Point, year after year, has some of the top talent. Other than that, Mountain View's been a surprise at 2-0. They have a good defense, like we talked about before, so that's a huge reason why. So, so we're going to talk about some of the other teams that are 2-0 that you wouldn't think are be 2-0 at this time. Catalina, Choya, some of the Sunnyside, Desert View. Watch out for Desert View. I think we talked about them before the year started because they have a lot of those guys on their freshman team last year that went undefeated. And they didn't only go undefeated; they blew out every team they played.
Yeah.
So we knew that there was some talent coming on there, including Jaylee Abraham. So watch out for them. They're 2-0. They've had 2 impressive wins.
And then they will be playing. If I'm looking at my notes real quick, but they will be playing.
Camelback.
They will be playing Camelback,
which hasn't won a game yet. So
pretty sure going 3-0.
They could be 3-0 for only the second time in like the last 9 years under Bonias, who's had some lean times. But he's had some lean years, but then he's had some teams that have just been dominant, like that one that won 9 games in 2021.
Yeah.
So yeah.
From Desert View, who's been the surprising players that have had the success? And like who's been their top guy so far?
Well, it's Jaylee Abraham. He's only a sophomore, so he's only going to get better. And the U of A actually had him as a visitor during the Weber State game, and he's only a sophomore. So keep your eye on him. Their quarterback is a senior who's done a good job, and he did a good job last year. I was impressed with how he played when they beat Sunnyside in overtime last year. Vasa Vilbaso, Ryan. Um, he doesn't throw for a lot of yards, but he's pretty efficient, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So that's who you want out of your high school quarterback, and I think he's a good leader too. What's funny or interesting is that Bonias told one of our writers, Ray Cervantes, that he considers Jay Lee Abraham a captain or a leader type, even though he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So because he leads by example. He does everything the right way. He's a good student. So I think for Bonias to say that, an old school traditional guy, the sophomore is a leader,
That says a lot.
Tells you about the kid and how he's going to get recruited because a lot of the coaches talk to Bonias, who has a college background at the U of A. He's got that in his favor, in his favor also. But Abraham does not only the talent but off the field stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible, especially being that young and having that kind of highlights going on right now.
Right.
And then we go on to another team that might be a surprising 2-0 team, especially with the new coach, Catalina Foothills.
Oh, yeah.
And then shout out to Danny. I know you're my cousin-in-law, brother. I know coaching that game with everything going on was difficult, but congrats on the victory. And let's get into a little bit of that game because Catalina Foothills, with a brand new coach, Danny, is now 2-0.
2-0, and they're playing Pushridge, who's 3-0 and the defending 3A state champion. So that's kind of like a game. Even I wish that was on Friday night, but it's tomorrow night or Thursday night.
Tomorrow.
And two undefeated teams. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a fun game. They've actually been playing each other every year the last few years.
What was the score?
So,
Push Ridge beat them last year.
Yeah, they beat them pretty handily last year. So I think the fact that Catalina Foothills is 2-0, they've got this renewed energy under Signs, who's been there before, and he probably knows a lot of these players because it's only been 1 year removed. I think they'll go to Push Ridge and they'll play well. It's gonna be hard to win at Push Ridge the way they've been playing. It's like they didn't skip a beat after winning the state championship.
Yeah.
And they have to go up to Oro Valley. Catalina Foothills does. So.
Yeah. Who are the players to watch in that matchup?
For Push Ridge, I know they have a defensive lineman that's been dominant. Kicking game is really good for Push Ridge. They have some skilled position guys like Nate Campa, who's a really good receiver. Quarterback every year it seems like they change their quarterback, and the quarterback that is just as good as the last guy. This year it's Race Pineo is his name, and he had a big game against Chrisman, who's really an up-and-coming program. So they went over there to Queen Creek, and they won last week.
Yeah.
And Pineo passed for 158 yards. Only had 4 incompletions, had 11 completions. So it's just like they reload. It's like they don't lose anything if somebody graduates. It's amazing the way they coach their guys there.
Yeah.
Catalina Foothills, I think.
So let me ask you this: for Catalina Foothills, do you think this is their first test? Where they're really going to decide to see how good they really are going against a state championship team from last year?
Well, they played Ironwood Ridge their first week. Probably didn't know what to expect there because Ironwood Ridge is a 5A team also, and they were good enough to be a state playoff caliber team. Of course, Ironwood Ridge is kind of struggling. They're 0-2 now. So I think this probably will be their toughest test, even though Push Ridge is 3A. And Ironwood Ridge is 5A, just because Ironwood Ridge is struggling. I like Signs. I like the way he's able to connect with his players. He had a lot to do with Cienega having a good offense last year, being the offense coordinator. So I think that they lost their quarterback. Kylie Foothills did from last year, and they have a new guy. But I think under Signs, I think the offense is performing well, and I think they're only going to get better. This will be a tough game for them on the road, and they lost at Carolina or at Push Ridge a couple years ago. I remember being at that game. So if they were able to go to Push Ridge and win on the road against a state championship type team, watch out for Carolina Foothills in the 4A region.
Yeah, because their schedule's pretty light after that. 'Cause
Yeah.
they'll play Snowflake, Pueblo, then Amphi, and then Tucson, Saguaro.
They'll be the surprise team so far if they do that, unless somebody like Catalina goes, they're 2-0 under Virgil Henderson, which is impressive, or Choya
Yeah,
as a new coach, they're 2-0.
we'll get into that because I don't know when the last time Choya was 2-0.
Actually, Virgil Henderson was their coach a couple years ago. They were 3-0, but then they struggled on the back end of the schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen very often where they start out strong like this. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to going to that game tomorrow between Cali and Foothills and Push Ridge. And on the flip side, Push Ridge wins. They're 4-0, and they continue to just roll
Yeah.
after winning the state championship last year.
Yeah.
So the winner of that will be undefeated still, and probably one of their favorites for their region at least.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that keep winning, Micah Mountain just got done with the victory. I mean, 16 in a row
Yeah,
from a program that's only been around, if I'm correct, 4 or 5 years.
fifth year varsity.
Fifth year varsity, and they've won 16 in a row. Let's go into their game against CDO a little bit.
Yeah, and they have a new coach, but who's an old coach, Jay Campos. So that was a good transition for them, and he's been around them because he was an administrator. So even though he's new, they know of him, they've seen him there. So he's really fit in really nicely, and they have some good defensive players.
Yeah, and they've only allowed 2 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, their defense was dominant last year. It's just as dominant so far this year. Broden Schmidt, linebacker, he's going to play D1. Riley Carson, who's a defensive back, he could play D1 as a punter even. So they have some talent there to build off of. Their defensive line is very active. I know they lost a lot from last year, but they're very, very active. And Brett Darling's their defensive coordinator. And I don't know if there's a better coordinator, not only in Southern Arizona, but in the state, as far as getting his guys ready.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll run through a wall. I hate to use a cliche, but they would run through a wall for him because just the way he coaches them, believes in them, is hard on them, and he's got that wild personality on the sidelines. He's known to like sprint on the sidelines and yell, and he just keeps them engaged.
Yeah, some energy.
Yeah, so and they feed off that. It's positive energy. So I think that we could be surprised if they lost 28 seniors and they're like this, but then again, you look at who their coaches are and how their leaders are, their senior leaders.
Yeah.
And not all that surprising.
Yeah, I keep going back. I wish I would have seen those scrimmages last year when they were just going A team versus B team.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine how much that helped this year's team?
Yeah, 'cause they were playing against the state champions every game or every scrimmage.
So the offensive line were going against Jimmy Leone, and the defensive line were defending him off the line, as a tight end. So yeah, there's a lot of good experiences there. Their running game was really good last year, Micah Mountain, so they had to prepare for that.
Yeah.
So Thorson was their quarterback, really good. Now they have another quarterback that's really good. So I think that familiarity helps them.
Yeah.
They know how to win. They know how players did it before, so they know what to do, that type of thing.
Yeah, been there, done it kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like a culture where it's second nature to them.
Yeah,
no matter who's playing, kind of like Push Ridge, they have a great culture there. So it's just whoever plays, they know they can win.
Yeah. Now the question is, what do we got to do to see Push Ridge and freaking Micah Mountain go at it?
They got to schedule that.
That would be an amazing game.
Because they're 3A and 4A, but yeah. That would be. I mean, it would have been nice this year, right? 2 state championships playing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, Micah Mountain's 4A, Push Ridge 3A, so they have more numbers. So, and I think Micah Mountain's eventually going to go 5A.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I mean, that'd be great for Push Ridge and to have that kind of experience, and for people in Tucson to talk about Southern Arizona football. This is a good one, as it is. Push Ridge and California Foothills, Micah Mountain, the way they're shaping up. They're going to be playing ALA West Foothills, right?
Yeah.
ALA West Foothills played Push Ridge in the 3A championship last year. I was up there for that, and they had some injuries. I think their top running back was injured the week before they played that game.
Because ALS Foothills, they actually beat Push Ridge before that in the preseason or the regular season.
The regular season,
Yep.
yeah. And then Push Ridge came back and beat them. So Micah Mountain going up there, I mean, people will say, oh, they're playing a 3A team, but that's not any ordinary 3A team. And it's on the road.
Yeah.
Way up there, so they'll probably have a lot of people there. But that's great for Micah Mountain to schedule something like that. It's good experience.
Yeah.
They can be 3-0 heading into playing Sunnyside. Sunnyside could be 3-0 next week. That could be two undefeated teams playing each other.
Yeah.
They play Campo Verde, who's a good team. Sunnyside does this week, so that's another game that's shaping up next week to be another good one.
And before we go into that, Campo Verde played, if I'm correct, played Miranda last week.
Campo Verde played who did Miranda play?
Fact check us real quick.
But yeah, did they play? No, they played Canyon View.
Canyon View, yeah.
Canyon View,
Fact check. Yep.
which is on the west side of Phoenix.
Yeah.
Gilbert, Campo Verde, they've traditionally had good programs. So that'll be a good test for them.
Yeah.
For Sunnyside, it's at home. It's the middle of three home games. They beat Pueblo pretty handily last week.
Yeah, it was a great victory for them.
Yeah. So, and Thomas Romack, he talked to me before the year that last year they had a young team. A lot of their younger guys are matured now. Their line is huge. It was probably one of the biggest lines size wise, not only in Southern Arizona but the state. And if you have a line like that, with a quarterback like I think his name's Duarte, they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So look out for them. I think that Sunnyside Desert View game coming up pretty soon. It's no longer the last game of the year. It's kind of like in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
that's coming up to be shaping up to be a good one. That's a region game too because they're both in the same region. So something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and let's go back to that Sunnyside and Pueblo game. Kind of give us who were the key guys for Sunnyside having that 40-12 victory.
The quarterback, like I said, Raymond Duarte. He's a dual threat, one of the better dual threat guys in the not only here but the state. Doesn't throw for a lot of yards, but he's efficient and he throws for at least 100 and he runs for close to 100 every time. So
dual threat.
He can keep balance. Defense is off balance. Aaron Fuentes is a good running back. Anthony Sanchez. They both carry the ball equally. Both produce. I know Gio Leiva is Duarte's favorite receiver, and he doesn't have a lot of size, but man, he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He'll fight for yards. Like I said, I like their line. The amount of push they have up there is impressive. That's why Sunnyside rushed for at least 160 yards last week against Pueblo. So I like that size up front. And when a push comes to shove in a close game, and you need that battle at the line of scrimmage, and you need like a fourth down conversion, I think Sunnyside could have that in their favor with the line play that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely starting to look like a playoff team now for sure.
Yeah, I mean 2-0, and we'll see what happens against Campo Verde. Then they play Micah Mountain next week. So
and Campo Verde just got done beating Ironwood Ridge last week as well.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
So and they beat him pretty handily.
Yes.
So I think this is one of those games like we're really going to see what Sunnyside is made of. Are they going to at least keep it close and win, or pull away, or are they going to lose like Ironwood Ridge lost to Campo Verde? I'm interested to see how they come out and they take care of business. I think they can do that, but this is probably their toughest test so far.
Yep.
So we'll see what comes of that.
Awesome. And then what do you think the keys for Pueblo to turn around their season? Sly Lewis is a great coach, and he's not having the accomplishments he wants. But I still think just with his coaching style and the way the players love him, they still have a chance to maybe turn it around.
Yeah, and let's not forget this is only his second year, and he's only 2 games into his second year. Key for them will be how will they finish? How will the rest of the season go in the region play? Um, how will they finish with confidence? I think right now he's still learning his guys from his second year, and quarterback position is so key. And I know he has a different quarterback.
Yeah.
He's had to work with that, and um, transitions can be hard depending on your players, your ability, your eligibility of players. What you can get out of them. He's gonna eventually, in the long run, Sly Lewis is gonna have success there. It's just a matter of when. So I think right now it's just a time where he's getting his players to believe in the system, in his culture, and I think that's coming because he's a coach. He's kind of like the coaches we've talked about before that have a lot of energy, uh, get the players' attention. It can be on them at one point, be supportive in the other.
Yeah.
And I think he eventually, and he knows how to lead a community, like the parents, the community around them. I think Pueblo eventually will get it under Sly Lewis. Right now, it's just a matter of
Yeah.
when.
And then they'll take on Douglas, which is a 1-1 team. Had a rough loss against Flowing Wells, but also coming off a 25-0 against Bisbee.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this matchup going in.
Well, they beat Bisbee, which is a longtime rival. And I think Bisbee's struggling. They lost too much talent from last year's team, so that's why they I think they're 1-2, and it wasn't really a game against Douglas. This will be Douglas's probably toughest test, other than I think they lost their first game, if I can't remember correctly.
Yeah, they lost against Flowing Wells.
Flowing Wells is it's another
56 to 10.
And Flowing Wells has been impressive under Brian Hook, so that's another 2-0 team that you wouldn't think would start 2-0. But I think Pueblo, given that that they did play on the road last week, they have some experience now. Douglas is still trying to find its way. I think I like their quarterback. I like Ivan Higuera up there down there at Douglas. I think he's a dual threat guy. He can make a lot of plays, but I'll be interested to see who around him supports him, because he's such a talent. But there's only so much a guy can do, especially at his size. He's like 5'8", 160 pounds. So we'll see how he fares against Pueblo's defense. Duarte did a good job against them.
Yeah.
So, and he got us kind of similar. So we'll see what kind of success he has against Pueblo.
Yep. And now moving to the 2-0 Flowing Wells.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've said that in my lifetime. I mean, like I said, I'm a baseball guy, but Flowing Wells is 2-0, and they will be going against the 0-2 North, which kind of playing out to being a 3-0 team after this. Tell us really who've been their guys to make them 2-0 this year.
They have a good running back. Flowing Wells does, Jaden Simmons, and he was a good player last year. He rushed for over 100 yards, 111 yards last week against Amphi. He was really struggling, but credit to Flowing Wells for taking care of business. So Jaden Simmons he's a guy who's going to play in college somewhere. So I think he's somebody to look out for.
Yeah, he's averaging 141 yards per game in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
He's a heck of an athlete, and I think as long as he stays healthy and their running game is good. I mean, their passing game is not altogether there right now, and I know Brian Hook is known for a good. He's got an offensive mind. He was the offensive coordinator there under Brudenkamp when they had some good seasons. So it might be a matter of time to get that passing game going, but if that running game is there, who knows how far they can go with it? Because Guzman, their number 2 running back, had 70 yards last week too against Amphi. So when you can run that well, you can manage the clock with deep possessions. You always have a chance, no matter who you play, really.
Yeah. And then now switching over to another 2-0 team who I think they went a few years without a single victory is Nogales.
Nogales. I like Nogales. Warren Smith is their new coach. He comes from Florida, so he has a Florida background. They lost 20 in a row They went 0-10 the last 2 years, and they're 2-0 this year with some good wins. I mean, they beat Rio. They blew out Amphi and they blew out Rio Rico.
Yeah, 29-6 against Amphi and 38 against 18 against Rio Rico.
Yeah, and those are two struggling teams, Rio Rico, and I think Amphi. They've either one of them yet to win. But Nogales, they went 0-20. So for them to have quality, big time wins like that, like as far as uh, margin, says a lot about Nogales. The way they were prepared coming into this season.
Yeah. Who are the guys you're liking from Nogales right now?
I like their quarterback, Philip Quijada. I was gonna say, well, if you're gonna ask me who the MVP is this week, I think he could be that against Saudita at home. Saudita's 0-2, but we know that they played well in their two losses, so they're going to be a challenge under Jake Allen going to Nogales this week. So I'm looking for Quijada to have another big game. He could be that MVP to get Nogales to be 3-0.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen too often. I think the last time they started 3-0 was in 2019 when Teachea was their coach. That'd be something else. That'd be another story if they start 3-0 after going 0-20 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They can. It's at home against Saudita, who's 0-2, and I think they lost their quarterback Rashid Martin to an injury last week. I don't know how long that if he's going to be out this week, or if that's something he could be more than a week. I don't know. It's not. We don't know that yet. But being that it's at Nogales, I like Nogales' chances.
Yeah, and Saudita, they've lost that Walden Grove game. We talked about how it was 2 days, and they just lost against Desert Sunrise, 40-38.
Came down in the end.
Came down and then again.
Yeah.
If you're Saudita, we'll go back to this question. If you're Saudita's coach, kind of dealing with the things you've had to deal with and being so close to being 1-1, what are you telling them right now?
If I'm Jake Allen, I would say that you guys have shown that you can compete. You have to show that you can finish, because they were trailing only 8-0 against Walden Grove in that game, where it's like overflow crowd late in the second half. Then the lightning came. They had to wait a day and come out the next day, and they were flat. And Walden Grove was really good, and they won 36-8 or something like that. So I think, and then last week they were right there against Desert Sunrise. So I think he tells them that just keep plugging away. You guys have shown that you can compete, but you have to show that you can complete the job. And I think Nogales is 2-0, but they haven't put together a long winning streak. They haven't really shown yet what they can do over the long haul. So Saudita has to feel confident going in there, knowing that they can win, they can beat Nogales. I think they played Nogales last year, and if I'm not mistaken, they handled them pretty easily.
Yeah.
At home. So I think they have confidence going into the game because of how they played the previous 2 weeks against Walden Grove and Desert Sunrise. I think there is some confidence there.
Yeah, kind of similar situation of Tucson High as well.
Right.
Just kind of playing well, just not getting those victories yet.
Yeah, and sometimes those are the easier ones to teach, because you can see what's been holding you back. For me, with Tucson High, it's their running game. Their offensive line has to get blocking better, and then for Saudita, they just have to continue to get better and get confident. I mean, they were coming off some lean years there before Jake Allen was hired last year.
Yeah.
So they're still trying to build their foundation, their culture. So they did go 8-2 last year,
Mm-hmm.
And didn't make the playoffs because of the region. So and he is scheduling tougher. So I think there's more of a belief now with Saudita. They do have some good players too. They have a good running back, William Thwaites, I think, and then Rashid Martin was a good quarterback. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can play.
Yeah.
So they do have some talent. They just have to take care of business.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking about taking care of business, Choya Chargers are taking care of business right now, 2-0. Let me ask you this: when the season started, were you expecting them to be 2-0?
No, I thought there'd be a struggle for Roland Youngling, the new coach there. But when I went to their 7-on-7 games at Keno South, when they had the big 7-on-7 tournament there in June, right? I think it was June. I was impressed talking to Roland Youngling. He played under Vern Friedley. He coached with Jorge Mendevi at Amphi. So he had a good coaching background with those guys. And I observed the way he worked with his players, and they believed in him. And he had that kind of like uh, tone about them, and the way he communicated with them was kind of like on their level. He's not an old guy. He's only in his early 30s, so he relates well to them. And I thought that they could be a good competitive team this year because of that. And he knows the organization. He knows how to coach because of his background. He brought a lot of his guys from Amphi with him to be his assistant coaches. So they, if you have a good coaching staff that gets along and trusts each other, that affects the way teams play.
Yeah.
And I think that's happened at Choya right now.
Same thing as players. If you have a bunch of players that come together, they're more dangerous than a bunch of Division One players as well.
Right. Yeah. So it's I think he's got things going. Their top player is a 5'5" running back. So he's like really carrying them. Dom Vudo is the name.
Averaging 101 yards per game right now.
Yeah, he's 5'5", 160. So he's getting everything out of that body. And their quarterback has been playing well. Estrella. Last game against Maryvale, they won 26-18. He threw for 134 yards, completed 711 passes.
Yeah. And Isaac Gonzalez on the defensive side, 5 sacks in 2 games.
Yep, and he's only a sophomore.
Yep.
So, and Vudo's only a junior. They have some good young talent that they can now build off of. For them to be 2-0 and possibly be 3-0, I know Combs will be a big challenge. I think Combs has blown out 2 other Southern Arizona teams so far. They blew out Rincon University, and who was the first week they played? They blew out somebody.
They blew out Rio Rico. So they have not allowed a single touchdown yet. Both games are 56-0.
Yeah.
And 52-0. So in all reality, this is Choya's big test right here.
Yeah, and Combs must feel like they own Southern Arizona, right? Because they've blown out 2 Southern Arizona teams. They beat Catalina Foothills last year, the season opener, at Catalina Foothills. So, Choya, if they can run the ball and get some good long drives that way, put themselves in position to take some time off the clock and get some possessions going, they could have a chance. When you're playing a team that hasn't had a lot of adversity, the 56-0 win, 56-0 and 52-0 wins, it's important to come out strong, and kind of if they can come out, Choya can come out and establish a good drive or make a defensive stop, that could be a good catapult to them having a good game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a key would just be score first.
Yeah.
Score first and show them something they haven't seen before, because that defense has not allowed a single touchdown.
Right.
And that,
yeah.
And
not a point. So and it's at Choya. So hopefully Choya, the fans will come out and support that team. These young guys need so much support, and you see a lot of schools that have a lot of fans. I saw last week at Tucson High with Tucson High South Point. I saw it the week before with Buena and Cienega. The stadiums were filled. Not so much at Tucson High, but there was a large crowd there. The schools like the Choyas, the Flowing Wells, the Catalinas, they need that support. They need that community to come out and support them, the schools and all that. So hopefully, when I'm actually going to go to that game on Friday, because I want to see what Choya is all about.
Yeah. In other words, guys, Choya Chargers, go support your Chargers, because they're charging their way through, being almost 3-0 right now this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Catalina, same story. They're playing Desert Christian, which is another Tucson area team it's only their second year at the varsity level, and they played 1A last year. So Catalina has a shot, but Desert Christians, they've really played well. I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge for Catalina. But, yeah, for Choya, I think just for them to be able to come out strong from the beginning don't let Combs have like a long touchdown pass or a time-consuming drive to going down the field and scoring to start out, because then that's just going to set the tone. Have it the other way around, and then get some momentum.
You get going from there.
Yeah,
And let's go on a little bit of Catalina. Like they're 2-0, correct?
they're 2-0.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on there, because that's another team that we weren't expecting to be 2-0 when the season started.
Uh, they played Santa Rita, and they played NFL Yet, who are both two struggling programs, but they won handily, 36-6 against Santa Rita, 24-0 against NFL Yet. So they did what they were supposed to do. Um, and I went to the game when they beat Santa Rita, and I was impressed with their running game. Um, and I like the way that Virgil Henderson is able to get the most out of his players. They only had 16 players suit up, 17
Catalina?
suit up against Santa Rita, and they won 36-6. Santa Rita had more. They had like 25 players, but you could tell that a lot of the Santa Rita players were playing football for the first time,
Yeah.
or hardly play football. So their coaching staff was trying to teach them how to play in addition to coaching them, which is a tough way to go about things. So Catalina, even though they only had 18 guys, they had some playmakers on their team. Um, so and they were confident because of Virgil Henderson. They liked being out there because of Virgil Henderson, and that means a lot. That can sometimes be the difference of a team getting a stop on third down, because of that belief system that they can do it. You know what I mean? So I think that having Virgil Henderson a coach will help them a lot.
Yeah, and then Catalina's defense, I want to talk about this too. They won 24-0 last week and 36-6. So their defense is doing doing great as well.
Yeah, and they're going to face a Desert Christian team that has a good offense. So, but they got themselves in position to be competitive in this game. I hope they're competitive in it. I hope it's not a lopsided score, because that'll show that yes, we can do this. It's too often where we see these teams struggling.
Yeah.
They find some success and they play a game, and then they end up losing like 60-0, and you're like, oh, all the confidence is just shot.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Catalina comes out strong, does what they can against Desert Christian, at least keep it close, to show that maybe something can happen this year where they can get a few more victories. Catalina is an independent team this year, so they don't really have a region. They play a lot of other independents that have struggled in recent years.
Can they still make playoffs then or no?
They can make the 2A playoffs, depending on the points. So it's harder. It's going to be harder for them to do that because they're playing teams that have traditionally struggled.
Yeah.
But hey, it could be like Saudita last year, win more than they lost and feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
After having so many struggles.
And Desert Christian, they're going in with some confidence too, because they've just won, like how you talk about, you lose confidence losing 64-0, but you gain it winning 64-0, and they're coming off that victory against Santa Rita winning 64-0.
Yeah, so they handled Santa Rita a little bit better than Catalina did by more points. But Santa Rita's probably, by attrition, I'm sure they don't have as many players too as they had the first week, so they're probably struggling more and more. But Brock Payne, their quarterback, he's new to their program. He didn't play last year. He threw for 23 yards, and then as a linebacker, he had 9 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. And you're going to see a lot of guys in the 2A level play both ways and be counted on both ways. So I think Brock Payne will be a challenge for Catalina, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking about a team that kind of struggled last week, Cienega lost 36-0 against Desert Edge. Let's talk about that game a little bit.
Desert Edge is the defending 5A state champion, so I know Justin Hargraves knew that was going to be a challenge, especially coming off a physical game against Buena, where it came down to the last play. And I know that there was some injuries that Cienega had in that game. It was just a physical game. Then they come back and have to play the defending champion. I know it was at home. That's still a tough task.
So you think they kind of fall into one of those 0-2 teams? They're better than what the 0-2 says right now.
I think they are, because they have some good defensive players. They gave Buena some fits with the passing game. They didn't really let Buena get their passing game going. Except for that 50-yard pass that was completed to Jaden Thomas. After that, I think they really controlled They got a lot of sacks, got a lot of pressure on Buena in the game I saw. So I think they can be in games because of their defense. They can be right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And they will play Ironwood Ridge this week.
2-0-2 teams.
Yeah. Who do you, in your opinion, who comes up on top on that one?
I like Cienega because of their defense, and I've seen them play, and I know that they took Buena to the last play of the game, and they did lose the Desert Edge, but they weren't blown out against Desert Edge. So I think that they can go in that game, get their first win.
Yep. And speaking about another 2-0 team, some of these names I'm like, oh man, this is Southern Arizona football is doing great right now. Is Buena.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about their success going on right now.
2-0, and they're playing ALA Gilbert North, who's traditionally a powerhouse. They have Ty Detmer as their coach, former BYU and NFL quarterback, which is 2-0. But they barely won their two games. They barely beat Casa Grande and the other opponent.
Cactus Shadow.
Cactus Shadow.
Both games only won by 2 points.
Yeah, so they're a play away, most likely, from being 0-2 instead of 2-0. So, and it is at Sierra Vista. This is one of those games, like a show me game. All right, Buena, you're 2-0. You've scheduled heavy like this. Now show it. Show that you can handle this kind of challenge. This is what I talked to Joe Thomas about it before they played Cienega. I go, did you guys schedule this on purpose, or did you feel like you just wanted to see how that you could do against some of the better teams? And he said they did it on purpose. They feel like they can compete and win these games, and it's a big point booster.
Yeah.
To play, they play Mesa Mountain View there at Sierra Vista later, and Mesa Mountain View is a really good program.
Yeah,
and they to play Tucson High, right, and Marana. I think this is the beginning of a 4-game stretch where they play those 4 teams.
Yeah, Gilbert, Tucson High, Marana, Mesa Mountain View, Vista, and then Vista Grande.
Yeah, so this is a tough stretch for Buena. We're going to find out a lot about them. If they split these next 4 games, they're still 4-2.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing to shoot for. But if they only win 1, then it's kind of like you're wondering how good they're going to become postseason. If they win 3 or 4, then they can make a deep run in the 5A playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. One thing with that, Buena had your guys' player of the week. Talk a little about his success.
Oh, Michael Lujan?
Yeah.
He's a senior running back, he's like a bull. He's not very big, but he's just like very strong. He gets those tough yards, and he's got enough athleticism and breakaway talent to gain yards off of a hit up on the line of scrimmage. So I think he had over 238 yards rushing, I believe.
Yep, averaging 152 yards per game right now, which is incredible.
And Ricardo Brooks is the other running back. So their running game is really good.
Yeah.
And their passing game can be good once the quarterback who transferred from Walnut Grove gets acclimated to the system more, gets his feet under him, and becomes more of a threat. He has some great receivers. Jaden Thomas, he's one of the best receivers in the state. He's the only 1,000-yard receiver coming back from last year.
Yeah, averaging 83 yards per game right now, receiving yards.
Yeah, so he's somebody, Caleb Layton, that could throw more and more to. Caleb Layton only had 6 throws last week, completed 4 of them for 149 yards. So imagine if he was in an offense that threw 40 times like Tucson High, he could be throwing for like 300 or 400 yards if they threw that many times. They don't have to, though, because they have a good running game. That's kind of like what Tucson High needs. They need to get those yards on the rushing side to open things up for the passing game.
They need to do a little bit of a trade or something.
Yeah.
We'll bring high school trades into Southern Arizona.
Yeah, but Michael Lujan and Ricardo Brooks, they combined for like 350 yards last week.
Oh, jeez.
And they had a great game against Cienega, both of them. So if they can do that against ALA Gilbert North, then they have a chance.
Yeah, all that's kind of heating up the matchup when they play Marana as well.
Yeah, and they kind of have a revenge on their mind. They do have to play at Marana again, right?
Yeah, I think I'll double check. They will play. No, they will. Yeah, they will play Marana at Marana.
Yeah, they lost that. I went to that game last year, and I think that was really a game where Buena knew how good they could be because they took Miranda to the very last, you know, quarter, last few possessions, and when nobody thought they could, because Miranda was unbeaten, they were number one in the Open Division, and Buena just they nearly upset them. They
Yeah,
could have. Uh,
it was a scrappy game because we were there as well, covering it from our old studio. The
okay.
whole game was scrappy.
Yeah, so I think they have that confidence going back to Marana to do well. They want to probably avenge that loss, and they play Tucson High at home. I think Tucson High, if I'm not mistaken, played at Buena last year, and I think they might have won that game. If I'm not, you guys might know since you're Tucson High grads, and I don't have a great memory, but Tucson High went to Buena last year and played well, if I can remember correctly. So Buena has these games that they were involved with last year, and coming up after LA Gilbert North, they have Moran and Tucson, and then
Yeah,
Mesa Mountain View.
yeah, and then going back to what you said about Tucson High winning last year, they won 42-29. Tucson High did.
Yeah,
So they're like you said, probably looking for some revenge.
yeah, so it's and Buena can do it. They have such good talent. I'm really I Cooper Cross, their linebacker. Once you guys get to see him play, you're going to be amazed how much he's in on every play, no matter where it is. Uh, T.J. Walker is another good linebacker. He's a great athlete. They got some good defensive backs. Jane Thomas is one of them. So they have the pieces that where they can really, they could win 3 games out of the next 4 games, or they could win all 4 because 2 of them are at home. 3 of them are at home, right?
Yeah.
Because they've already played 2 games on the road. So I know they play LA Gilbert North, they play Tucson High, and Mesa Mountain View at home. The only road game is against Marana in this next 4
Marana
games.
and
So they could win 3 games. They could even win 4 if they pull off a couple upsets there. I think the hardest one will be Mesa Mountain View.
yeah, Mason Mount. Yep.
Yeah,
And like you said, that was the only away game that they have is against Marana.
yeah,
So they'll have the home support right there for sure.
yeah. So, uh, and I don't know if you guys have dealt with or talked with Joe Thomas. He's one of those guys too that gets the most out of his players. They believe in him. They trust in him. Not too much of an age difference there. He's comes off as young, even though he's coached for almost 15 years
Yeah,
at Buena and Tombstone.
Very similar to like a Sly Lewis, to Coach Stewart, very a player's coach.
Yes, and he coaches more of like building up instead of tearing down. He's not like you better do this or this is going to happen. He's more of like, hey, you guys can do this. He's got that personality, and I think the younger players especially rally around that, and the older guys they become like extensions of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could tell that with Moena, the way their culture has really built under him. Yeah, I mean, he went 0-21 his first 21 games. That doesn't happen usually because either the coach gets fired or the coach quits.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be around after 2 seasons where you don't win a game. But he came back. I think that third year they ended up winning like 5 games, and then after that he's had some competitive teams.
Just with that, it shows you that he loves the community.
Yeah, and
Why
they
else?
like him. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Otherwise, he would have got the boot.
Right, and since then they're 49 and he's 49-28. He can win his 50th game this Friday
Oh shoot.
at Buena. So yeah, from going it's like rags to riches, right? And then they last year they went to the playoffs. This year they can make a deep run of the playoffs depending on what we see here the next 4 weeks. We can really it's almost like a playoff grind, right?
Yeah, because it's a playoff gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
Just like how you said it.
Yeah, so I think we'll see how they do in the next 4 weeks. This will really tell us a lot about Buena.
Yeah. And then to finish off this, we have Marana who play Yuma Catholic.
Oh,
That would be Yuma Catholic's 0-2 right now. Traditionally, how are they traditionally?
they're really good traditionally. I know they've in recent years they've gone from 3A to 4A, and I think now they're going to be going to 5A. But they traditionally have been really strong. They don't have a lot of enrollment there, not a lot of enrollment at Yuma Catholic, but they seem to get all the good players from Yuma area into that program. I went there last year with Micah Mountain, beat them in a playoff game, and the atmosphere was really it was really a good atmosphere with a lot the
Play,
stadium's full.
yeah, playoff like atmosphere.
Yeah, the whole city comes out because it's Yuma. So I think it's going to be a tough test. I know Yuma Catholic's 0-2, but it's going to be a tough test.
Yeah.
Going over there, Marana.
Especially with Cole Myers coming off a game where he had over 300 yards,
Yeah.
passing yards. Talk a little bit about what they need to do to have to move on to 2-1 after this weekend.
I think they have some good balance. I think they can go in there and take care of business. I like Colton Meyer. I like Sean Roebuck. I like Jeffrey Smith. He's really a talent at running back and linebacker. Um, he's a guy that you look at him and you're like he's only last year I was like he's only a freshman. He looked like a senior physically, and then now he's a year older, and he's a dominant type player in all of running, receiving, um, playing on defense. He's a guy that can be a difference maker. And then Greg Webb he's a linebacker that's really good. Hayden Utley, defensive lineman, who's really good. So they have some balance, offense and defense, where as the season goes on, they'll get better and better, and they'll be right there in the thick of the 5A playoffs.
Yeah, now they're gonna have that chance to win that state championship as well.
I think they'll be right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: who's your 3 picks to finally click this week? Some teams, some players that haven't had the success you thought they're gonna have, but finally they're gonna be the ones on top this week.
The players or the teams?
We'll do teams. We'll do
Okay.
players, and then we'll do 2 teams.
Well, players, that's hard to say because, like I said, there's only a third week, so I haven't seen too many of these guys. But boy, for them to click, I Caleb Layton still for Buena quarterback. I really want to see him play the way he played at Walden Grove, and he hasn't really done that yet. He started to play a little bit better last week, but he only threw 6 times. So I think the Buena coaching staff is kind of holding them back a little bit because they have such a strong running game. But I want to see him step forward.
Awesome.
I want to see Vasa Vilbaso at Desert View. I want to see him come out and have a 200-yard game. He's capable of it, at least 200-yard game at Desert View. I want to see him step forward.
And then we'll go 2 teams as well.
Teams that haven't played well, that need
Not
to
necessarily play well, but they're gonna make a statement now.
They're gonna make a statement.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see. That's gonna be a hard one. I think Sunnyside, because they're playing at home. I think they're 2-0. I think not a lot of not a lot of people are talking about them. They are playing a quality opponent. I think they're going to be wanting to make a statement. Let's see. I think Flowing Wells, 2-0. They're on the cusp of being a team that could be above 500 and go to the playoffs, the 4A playoffs.
Yeah.
They just have to put it together. Saurita against Nogales, they have to show that they can finish the job. They've come close, at least for a half against Wallen Grove, and then they came close last week. They play a Nogales team that before the year you would have thought Saurita can go into Nogales and win handily. Now Nogales presents a challenge. So I want to see Saurita go in there and show that they can take care of business and win a game. Cienega and Iron Ridge, we talked about them being 0-2 teams. Which one's going to finally win and get some momentum? I think Cienega is that team that can build off of having Julian Hanley as a quarterback, Jaden Rogers as a threat, as a wide receiver. They have some good defensive players. I think once they can get a win under the belt, it could push them ahead.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a great week of football. Like I said, we'll announce our game of the week sometime tomorrow. Mr. Morales, tell them where you're going to be this week.
Well, tomorrow I'll be at the Catalina Foothills Pushbridge game, and then Friday I'll be at the Combs Choya game.
Awesome. And guys, just to let you know, the Oscar Romero fundraiser / Memory of Life will be Saturday. I'm not sure if we'll be there, but I know I'll have some people taking pictures of everything going on there. As always, guys, thank you for all the love and support. This has been an incredible experience. Mr. Morales, any last statements?
Just about, we've lost Oscar Romero and we've lost a few other people. Kelly Pierce, the soccer coach at South Point.
So, yep.
We lost Tom Pearson, who is a Hall of Fame wrestling coach at Saguaro. Don Bacon, who is his qualities, human qualities, remind me a lot about Oscar Romero. Just somebody who went beyond what and just was just so impactful to everybody at Saguaro. Didn't have to be an athlete, and Oscar was like that as a teacher. It just seems like we've lost so many people this year that have been so influential
Yeah.
to our community. It's a huge loss. I mean, I think of them now as angels looking down on us and hopefully motivating us and inspiring us. But it's been a very tough year, and I know you're directly involved because you're related to Oscar. So, um, you know, personally, my mom's boyfriend passed away. My aunt passed away in the last month. So it's been I haven't experienced like a huge amount of loss like this in such a short period of
Oh,
time.
yeah.
So it's almost like numbing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's been difficult, but there's been support there, like I'm sure you're feeling with Coach O, and
Yeah.
it's been a difficult time. And,
Yeah. I mean, like my grandmother being in the hospital as well. It's just,
yeah,
and I want to say this too for everyone. I mean, when you have times like this and you hear us talking about this, make sure you hug and kiss your loved ones. I mean, if you're arguing with someone, find ways to just throw it under the ground because you never know when the final strike's gonna come. I mean, not to get political at all. You guys saw what happened in the news. You never know when God's gonna call you upstairs. And like I said, give an extra hug, give an extra kiss to your loved ones, even if it's just your dog. Give them a hug, kiss, and
hmm
just make sure you tell people you love them because our time's short. Our time's all decided by the grace of God, and just put a smile on your face and say I love you to the people you love.
yeah, and I don't want to forget about Al Longmire too, the barber that
Yeah,
impacted so many people, and he was involved with sports with a lot of U of A athletes going over there. So he passed away recently too. So it's been a tough time, but you know, like I said before, hopefully we can be inspired by the people what they did on Earth, and we can try to live up to their honor and be somebody that others can rely on.
amen to that, man.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. We'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll be back Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll have a little bit more to guests as well. Like I said, this is gonna keep growing. Thank you for all the community. Love you guys. See you guys next week. Peace.